To conclude this section, we're going to have a quick overview of what all these separate buttons do up here, i.e. the ones that we casually glanced at in the previous tutorial. Clearly at the moment we're looking at our design view, and as we now realise, this design view allows us to see what we are building within this main content area. Well, some people like working this way, and some people prefer to just work with the code. Now, of course, you don't have to restrict yourself to being one of those types of people in that you only work with code or you only work with the design view. You can flick between the two, and in fact, that's what I do. Anyway, let's have a quick look at our code view. So I'll click on our code view button, and of course, as we can see, we now predominantly see all the code that is used to create this page. Now I say predominantly because with this page, and in fact with pretty much every single web page these days, this HTML code also runs in parallel with any CSS code that has been created when you were creating this main page, or later when you were building separate CSS files. Now, as I say, this is an overview tutorial of these other options, code split and live, simply so you can see where things are. Now, on this page, by the way, you'll notice running down here at the far left-hand side that we not only see our code with the relevant line number, but also down here vertically, we have these extra buttons. And if you roll over any of these buttons, then you'll see a tooltip to inform you what it actually does. Now, I'm not going to go into this in any detail here. We'll get back to this as and when necessary. However, for example, if you click on this one, well, as you can see, we now select our parent tag for this particular line of code that we are looking at, and it all gets highlighted in blue. So as I say, just work your way down these, and you'll notice a tooltip popping up to inform you what that particular button allows you to do. Right, let's move across to our second button along, Split. We've seen this previously. This allows us to separate our content area into these two parts. We have our code view on the left, and we have our design view on the right-hand side there. And the thing that you'll probably like about this is if you select anywhere within the design view, maybe on the navigation here, if I click on here where it says Home, then immediately within our code view, our cursor jumps to that position. I'll do that again. I'll click here next to Movies, and immediately we now jump to this line within our code. There's the cursor, and also we now see the line of code we are at is highlighted there in that sort of light blue color. Let's contrast this with our live view. So I'll select the live button because now this throws open these two extra buttons, live code and inspect. I'll select live code first of all. Well, now you'll notice that whatever I've got selected in my live view, the particular relevant code for that element is highlighted here in our code view. We do have to select something in the design view. We can't just simply roll over the navigation, for example. But when I do select something, this activities button on the menu, well, now you see within our code view, we now jump to that particular area once more. Now, even better than this is if we engage the inspect button, because now when I roll over anywhere within our design view, the navigation again, for example, well, now you see as I roll over activities, we not only see the whole of that line of code within our code view, but also within the design view, we see that pop up with some extra information. In this case, we are given details about the size, set like this at 180 pixels by 26 pixels. Now you'll notice when I roll over any of these navigation buttons, those dimensions are the same, of course, because it relates to the particular container that that navigation button resides within. Notice what happens when I come right up to the top to this image. Well, now within our code view, because we are inspecting the code, we see that highlighted area. And this is dynamic because if I move over somewhere else, this photograph, then of course we immediately jump to that line of code, or those lines of code. This isn't restricted just to photographs. If I navigate right down to the bottom of the page, then wherever I roll the cursor over, dynamically within the code view, we are taken to that particular place. If I move up here, just slightly to this navigation, well, as you can see, we see that little information just next to it, or just below it in this case, informing us about the dimensions, and also in our code view, we are now taken to that line of code. Okay, so you'll probably find as you progress with your website design, using this live view in combination with live code and inspect will prove to be invaluable. Right, I'm going to finish up here then for this tutorial, and in fact for this section.